So hey, welcome back to another 2 Minute Tuesday. If you're new to all of this, 2 Minute Tuesday videos come out on a Tuesday. They're usually around 2 minutes long. The idea is that we use them as a platform to give you information about our products, how to use them, what they are about, the whole range, the whole 9 yards. The first thing we need to do is roll the intro. If you haven't been a follower of the TMT videos, then you need to jump over to YouTube, check out Nutrabaits TV, and you will see our playlist with all our backlog of 2 Minute Tuesday videos in situ. And also while you're there, don't forget to give it a quick like, a subscribe, and hit the bell notification, which will give you an email reminding you of every time we upload something new. So what we are looking at today is, well, I wanted to do sort of something different in this new season or new series of TMTs, and that was to basically go back to the genesis of Nutrabaits, to go back to the beginning, to have a look at our range that is currently available now and sort of give you an idea of where it came from, how it was developed, and what's in it, and how you apply it, all the rest. So let's whack 2 minutes on the clock. Today we're going to look at the BFM range, Big Fish Mix, where it comes from, what it's about, who invented it, all the rest. Late 80s, early 90s, fish meals became all the rage. In fact, everyone and their granny were using them to catch carp. And super successful they were too. The carp liked the taste of them, they liked the smell of them, and they were really good for the fish as well. And a chap called Dave Moore, one of our team at the time, he decided that he wanted to create a fish meal that would not only compete with the current baits on the market, but beat them, be better than them on every level, and put our fish meal at the top of the tree, so to speak. And what he wanted to do was combine a number of components that he knew would work well in combination with the fish meals. So whilst this is a fish meal based bait, only 40% of the base mix is actually fish meal. And that contains things like sardine, capelin, anchovy, and white fish meal. So that's kind of the bulk, the 40% of the base mix, that's the bulk of the fish meal there. And all of those fish meals were picked for a reason. They have great nutritional value, but they all work well in combination with each other and stimulate the carp. The other 60% of the bait, well, he took a different direction than a lot of the baits on the market at the time, and he wanted to make sure that it contained a number of milk proteins. Now, milk proteins were all the rage, late 70s, all the way through the 80s, into the 90s, and then they kind of petered out when all these other new base mixes came to the fore. People forgot about milk proteins, but milk proteins are super cool to put into a base mix because they have a slightly opiate-like quality to them. Carp become slightly addicted to the milk proteins. So in the base mix itself, he put in typical caseins, lactobulbumins, and a few other goodies as well. So that was the fish meal sorted, the milk proteins, and then he also wanted to add something that had been quite the rage in the late 80s, early 90s, and that was bird foods. Now, bird foods were pioneered in carp baits by the late great Rod Hutchinson, and he paved the way with some incredible ingredients. Bird foods became really popular for a number of reasons. They were really digestible for the carp, they were great carriers of flavors, they were very high in minerals and vitamins and other nutrients, and their texture meant the carp loved them to eat. So that's exactly what he did. He added CLO sluice, he added a robin red, kelp powder, and it gave the bait a really rounded texture and aided digestion with the fish meals and the milk proteins. It just fused really well together. Big Fish Mix went on to be one of the biggest base mixes of the 90s and into the 2000s. I mean, it really was a base mix that was hard to beat. Now, unfortunately, things go in and out of fashion, and that's a shame because good baits, they don't go off, they don't die, they continuously catch fish, and that's what BFM quietly did behind the scenes. It had its devout following, and whilst other baits were developed within the range at Nutrabaits, an awful lot of anglers just were so devoted to it. And the great thing about it is not only is it a great instant bait, but it's a great long-term bait as well. So if you're a campaign angler, Big Fish Mix is just going to get better and better the more you apply it. So there's a couple of ways to go with the Big Fish Mix. You can use a base mix and do what we all did throughout the 80s and 90s and roll your own. Now, rolling your own can be a bit of a pain, but do you know what? It's a It's a journey to enlightenment, and Big Fish Mix, from the get-go, when you open the bag, you get that pungent smell of fish meals. Base mix can be then rolled with absolutely any flavor combination. It can be rolled with any attractor combination. So if you want to go down the route of essential oils with a flavor, knock yourself out. You can use fruit, savory, you can use fish. In fact, there is no wrong flavor combination for Big Fish Mix. It's one of those base mixes. Because of its components, it just gets the best out of every flavor. Now, that said, there are certain things that stand out over the years that we all put in. Fruits really, really did well with Big Fish Mix. So just whatever you do, one thing I would recommend you add is oil. Whether it be our pure salmon oil or our cod liver oil, you need to add about 50 ml per kilo, especially in the summertime. Roll that back to about 20 ml per kilo in the winter. Have no fear of the oil in the winter, because our oils are winterized. They're going to work, and they're going to really look after the fish. In fact, the best time for carp to be ingesting oils is during the winter. It goes through their system slower, and they bulk up, and it actually gets to work doing all the things that oils should be doing in the body. So if you're not really someone who can handle rolling up their own base mix, that's cool. There's no problem with that, and it doesn't make you a lesser angler or a better angler. But if you want to, what Nutrabaits have done, they've relaunched over the last number of years a complete range for BFM, and that is they have either freezer or shelf life baits, and the combination is cranberry, which was an all-time winner, fused with krill liquid, and it also has the GLM. The flavor combinations have been worked out meticulously to give the best bang for bucks, not only for attraction but also for long-term usage. The range contains the usual wafters, pop-ups, boosters, sprays and glugs. So every base is covered to get you fishing and get you catching. Now you may say to yourself, well, do I go the route of the freezer range or do I go the route of the shelf life range? The shelf life range is fantastic. Sits in the car, you have a bag ready to go whenever you need it, and you're never going to be stuck without bait. Freezer baits you have to take a little bit more care of on the bank. You have to make sure that they stay frozen, or you have to air dry them out. You can't kind of keep refreezing them. So which do you pick, freezer baits or shelf life? Well, that's going to be totally up to you and what your type of fishing is going to be about. Just be aware that our freezer baits and our shelf life baits have the exact identical base mix being used. The only key difference is that the shelf lives have a very, very small amount of human grade preservative, which allows the bait to dehydrate and stay shelf life. Now, you may have picked up that I've talked about the cranberry being in the bait, but also krill liquid. So if you're a carping man about town, you will know that krill liquid is like hen's teeth. It's like rocking horse poop, and it is impossible to get. And the reason for that is because there's been an embargo for fishing for krill worldwide for a period of time. Now that period of time will extend to, I think, the year 21 or 22. Not quite sure exactly when that's going to come back into effect, but I know by year 2022 it will be fished for again, and all the products will be becoming available. There are a number of krill products on the market. We use the very highest grade we can purchase, which is our Nutrabaits mantra. We always go for the highest ingredient we can source for our base mixes and for our liquids, for everything. So with krill liquid being like gold dust, are we able to put krill liquid in? Well, Nutrabaits are one of the very few, I'd nearly go to say only company, that actually has a large enough stock of krill liquid and krill powder to produce the products until the embargo has finished. So I'm not going to speak ill of any other company, but all I'll tell you is we have the ingredients to produce and keep producing our BFM range until well past the date of the embargo. So this has been a 2-Minute Tuesday. As I'm sure you are aware at this stage, didn't even come close. But look, it was the first video of this season. I may as well set the bar where it's going to be for pretty much all the videos. Nowhere close. This is Gerry. We're going to catch you in the next video.